Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Beast in Black, Dark Connection, on October 29th on Nuclear Blast. This album has 13 tracks, 60 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. They are a Finnish melodic metal band. Now, this album doesn't have a concept, but it does have a theme. It's driven by the theme of cyberpunk. You're going to see it across every single track. And this theme has an impact in the structure and in the soundscape. As far as the structure goes, on one hand, this album is still super dynamic, very engaging, ups and downs, ebbs and flows, really a roller coaster ride. You're never sure exactly what's coming around the corner. But when you get to the end of the record and you look back at the experience that you had listening to the album feels more cohesive than what it really is. It feels more balanced. It feels at times even more linear, because the way these songs move from one to another, it's very seamless in process. And having a theme that encapsulates the whole record allows the album to feel more unified as one. Something that I don't think we've ever seen before from Beast in Black. This album really jumps a little bit forward as far as connectivity and bringing a whole record together, regardless of the disparity that exists within the songs. And let's remind ourselves as well that this is an album that finishes off with two cover songs, Manowar's Battle Hymn and Michael Jackson's They Don't Care About Us. And these two tracks, even though they're covers, they still have that Beast in Black DNA, and they also merge really well with the overall soundscape that came before, that it's driven by that cyberpunk theme. So overall, these two cover songs work really well at the end of the album. They feel like they actually belong to the overall concept of the record, and that allows them to stay well together within the confines of the album and not just feel like two extra tracks at the end of the listening experience. Once you get into the soundscape, this album is definitely driven by the synths. It's more synth dependent than any record before. It seems almost impossible, because they've always been a band that really depended on it to create melody, to drive the experience of the songs, and also to create atmosphere. On this record, perhaps because of that cyberpunk theme, the synthesizers become even more predominant, because they become even more important in the overall design and the overall soundscape, and we see that reflected across every single track on this album. It's undeniable. They really push that pop, 80s pop metal sound into the forefront, very bubblegumish, if you will, but something that also has become synonymous with Beast in Black and their records and their music. So this album perhaps seizes the knob turning all the way to 11 as far as the synths go, as far as the impact that they have on the sound, but it's definitely nothing new from what we've seen in the two previous albums. Now, something that I hadn't really noticed in previous records that on this one jumped a little bit more into the forefront was the bass. I really love the bass sound on this record. I love also the execution, and I love how much we get to experience throughout the record. We always so focus on the vocals, on the guitars, on the solos, on the synthesizers, the drums, that sometimes the bass goes a little bit forgotten when it comes to Beast in Black. On this record, I really felt that in the mix, they gave the bass enough space, enough room to really spread its wings and to become more of a player in terms of how the constructions of the songs come across and how better you can define the overall design of these tracks. So I really enjoy the bass on this record. The drums felt a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more balanced, something that we've also seen before from the band, and they kept the same momentum coming forward into this record. They never really jumped in the forefront. There are a few tracks that are more power metal driven, so you need more drums, you need more heaviness, you need more consistency, and that's going to be there. But on the tracks that have a little bit of a lighter tone, they jump a little bit more into the background and allow other elements to take the center stage. Once again, something that's very traditional with this band and something that hasn't really changed that much coming into this record. The guitars are phenomenal. The solos, the leads, the melodies, how they drive some of these songs, and the covers specifically, I really like what they did with the guitar sound and the guitar execution. But overall, you really feel like they always bring their A game when it comes to guitars and when it comes to what they're going to give to the listener as far as the overall experience. This album perhaps has a little bit more movement, has a little bit more drive, and they interact really well with the synth sound, and they sometimes merge with one another, allowing the soundscape and the atmosphere to be a lot thicker, to be a lot stronger, and stay strong and connected and thick across the entire record, regardless of where the songs are taking the listener. On top of it all, you have Giannis on vocals. This guy could sing a grocery list and it would sound absolutely amazing. He's super consistent on this album. He really brings his A game, and I felt like he added a few little tools to his toolbox as far as his vocal delivery is concerned. There's a few songs on this record that I felt that he was a little bit darker than usual. He brought a little bit of a different tone, a little bit of a different delivery, and that impacted the atmosphere of the songs and impacted the way you perceive these tracks. So he went exactly where the mood of the songs were going, and he stayed perhaps a little bit more outside of his comfort zone. I really like the diversity that he showed. It's not just about the high notes and hitting those high notes. It's a little bit about using your voice to create some atmosphere and bring the lyrics to life. When you have a theme-driven album, that's super important, and I really felt like he did that. He was as diverse as the album needed him to be. Overall, this record fits the mold of what we've seen from Beast in Black. If you look at the two previous albums, if you look at the progression that they've had, this is perhaps the next logical step. But I really feel like you have to look at this band from a different perspective, and you have to readjust perhaps your perspective of how you perceive the band. If you're coming in looking for power metal, I don't think they are a power metal band anymore. I think they're a melodic metal band that relies heavily on synthesizers and has that 80s pop metal synth sound that really becomes the DNA or the calling card of the band. Within that genre, within that style, nobody comes close to Beast in Black. They are on a league of their own. But if you go back to some of their heavier songs or some of their more power metal driven songs, and that's what you gravitate to and that's what you want, this album is going to feel a little bit diluted from that perspective, and it's probably not going to hit home for you. But if you understand exactly what this band is all about, if you understand the theme behind the album, this record won't surprise you at all. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Blade Runner. This is my favorite track, and it's the opening track, perhaps the most power metal driven song on the entire album. It has a lot of power. The synths are still there. They still add melody. They still drive the song, but the heaviness of the drums and guitars together, the momentum that they give to the track, is phenomenal. Yannis is magnificent. He really pushes this song. He creates ebbs and flows between the verses and the chorus, and then when he gets into that chorus, he blows the roof off of this track with his voice, with his performance, really pushing it to the limits, driving that essence that it is Yannis when he can push those higher notes. And on this track, he does it beautifully in the chorus. Chorus in, chorus out, he just delivers a magnificent performance throughout. He really becomes one of the driving forces of this track, mixed in with how heavy in the guitars and drums are together. Next you have Belladonna, a great rock riff. I really feel like this is perhaps more of a rock-based song. It just feels like almost an arena rock song with synthesizers on top of it. And that allows the overall song to have perhaps a little bit more depth. Another element that adds depth to this song is how much of the bass you're going to experience, how much it jumps into the forefront, how much it creates a much wider road for this song to travel on. And that makes the song feel bigger, makes the song feel more impactful, even though it's not as high octane as Blade Runner. It's perhaps more methodic, but some of the heaviness stays there, and the fact that you have the bass expanding the footprint of the track makes the song still feel bigger, still feel powerful, and still have that driving force. Last but not least, a Dark New World, bombastic song from beginning all the way to the end. I felt like this was one of those tracks where Yannis brought a little bit of that darkness to his tone, to his vocals, to his delivery. It matches the lyrical content of the song, it matches the overall theme of the track, so I felt like it was needed, and I felt like he understood exactly what he needed to do in order for the song to feel complete. Otherwise, the vocals would feel a little bit outside of the realm of where the song has actually been constructed. So the fact that he joined forces with what was happening musically in order to make the experience of the song coming alive to the listener makes this track really outstanding from beginning all the way to the end. This is it, Beast in Black, Dark Connection, out October 29 on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughthoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.